Hey, this is Jack from Alpha Charts with a state of the market video. Today is September 10th, 2022. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock security. I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. All right, so a couple of announcements real quick. The first is I partnered with TrendSpider as far as I'm offering, not even offering really, but you're eligible to get, I'm going to do a top 5 stock picks, probably update it weekly or so, and a scanner that I made just for them. If you want access, if you're a TrendSpider member or want to become a TrendSpider member, want access to that, you could DM me on Twitter at AlphaCharts365. Check me out over there, send me a DM. I'm going to ask for your email address, and then everything will be taken care of. Again, there's nothing weird or funny about that. It's really straight up. So do that if you are interested. It's a really good scanner. Actually, I've been watching it the last few days, and it's really pulled some awesome names in. So worth your time there. And the second thing is super follows on Twitter. If you're already on Twitter, become a super follow. Tons of great content coming out of there. Keeping you guys on the right side of the market, and ideas coming through, market commentary at least twice a week, extra market videos, extra stocks to watch videos, and all kinds of other stuff. If you're interested, super follow on Twitter. It's tons and tons of content. I think, my scans every day, I think well worth your time. Okay, stocks to watch. Here we go. SPX. There's your downtrend line, right? Lower highs and lower lows. Now the question is right here, right? So there's your lower high. Now here's your higher low. Now the question is, do we take out this high or not? That being said, there's your declining 200-day moving average right at that trend line, right? So we have 50-day going up. We have the short terms moving up now, right? But we still have this decline 200. So there's mixed signals on the SPX, right? You can't say this is the bottom, right? Because we don't know. For all we know, it could come back and retest again or worse. We don't know that. But this is now an area of importance, right? So now we want to see this area hold, right? And then pull this 200-day in a little bit more, maybe chop around, and then break out. That would be the idea. But it's constructive, right? 3 days constructive, back above the 50, back above the 23, back above the 9. And again, the 200-day, again, it needs to kind of get to this pull in a little bit more, I think. So it may take a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but it's a constructive start. Now, if this area fails, then obviously, we're probably going to retest the bottom again. But right now, we don't have that, right? Again, we'll see. High, lower high. Does this make a lower high and then we break down, or does this make a higher high and break up? We don't know. All right, but that's mixed signals for sure. And I think that's going to be the idea today, right? You have RSP right into this area that was support. Question is supply found here? We don't know, but it was a nice strong move. And on the week, RSP was up 4.2. I'm just looking at the SPX. On the week, it was only up 3.65. So you see this rally was broader, broad-based. It wasn't just Apple and Amazon that was moving the market. It was a lot of companies moving the market. What else do we have? Let's go to Qs. Qs, again, so not as strong, right? So it's up to the 23-day, but hasn't broken it yet. So again, just lagging a little bit, I think, from the broader market, but it did get above the VWAP from the bottom, and it is right there at the 23-day, and it's above the 50-day, which is still rising. Again, there's your declining 200 right there, and your VWAP from the top. Yeah, basically in the same spot. And so same question, right? Is this now the higher low that is important? Yeah, absolutely. And this area has always been important, right? This 295 to 300 area or so, it's always been important. And so I'm not shocked that's where it dug in. I'm a little surprised it dug in so hard. Friday was a little surprising to me, but that's price. I was wrong. Price was right. And anyway, so we'll see. Does this continue up and make a lower high here, or does it make a higher high? And I still think it probably needs more time to suck in this 200-day a little bit more. But again, that's what I think. No one really knows. To me, this doesn't, I think this bottoming, if this is the bottom, this is a process, right? And we've been in this process now for roughly, we'll call it 94 bars, so 94 trading days, right? So you see, we probably have, it could be weeks and maybe even a couple of months of this process of this mixed signals. And that's what we have. Now, let's see what the week was on here. 4%. And looking on the equal weights. On the equal weight, it was 5.11. So once again, you can see the equal weight outperforming the cap weighted. And you can see it also over here, right? You can see that's above the 23-day, above the 50-day, right? Looks like a stronger move, because it was a stronger move on the equal weight. So that's very encouraging, right? That's got to be a feather in the bull, the bull camp for sure. A check mark or whatever you want to call it. That looks really good. Again, we don't know if this is going to end up being a lower high or, this is a higher low over here. We'll only know after the fact. But again, nice move, looks good. Mixed signals being 200 days declining, 50-day going up, and moving averages turning back up. We don't know the answer to this yet. I wish we did, but again, this is a bottoming process. Looking at the IWM, again, above the 50-day. Again, it looks strong, right? It's an equal weighted index. And, we're just moving sideways, right? And so this could be the low, potentially, right where we thought it could be. Again, that's where my orange line has been and will stay for a long time. And that was a gap fill from back here. And then, there we have a higher high compared to this. Great. And the question is this your higher low, right? That's now our new most important area right here, right? Now we'll see what happens. Your 200-day is actually not that far off. Let's see the percentage, 4% higher. That's not bad, right? That's not bad. And we've been in this range. Again, IWM led to the way down. We want to see it lead to the way up. 158 days. So see how much closer it is to a flattening to price above the 200-day. That's really encouraging, actually, as long as this holds right here. So this chart is making me way more bullish than the other two, which had much more mixed signals. Again, we still have declining 200-day, but I can see the path, in 40 more trading days, which is roughly 8 weeks, 2 months, right? It doesn't have to be exactly that. It could be 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I can see, where this kind of chops around and then gets above the 200-day, and that starts to flatten out, right? So that's something to watch, right? Love that. Let's look at IWO while I'm here. Same type of scenario, looking really good. IWO about 4%. Same thing, probably roughly 458 trading days, if I had to guess. Yeah, 150, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's roughly the same in this area right there. So love that, right? Love that. It may need some more time, but this is important. You have the kind of double bottom right there. Let's go to weekly, just so you can see how important this area was. This area was super important in the past. So you had the undercut, the rally. If this holds as a lower, higher low right there, and there's your first higher high, that's a big deal, right? That's a big deal. Again, this 253, 254 area will be, if we can take that out, that's huge. And this was from the COVID low, this VWAP right there. So again, that's a big deal. So there is a path for this to be the bottom. And right now it makes, I could see that happening, right? So we'll have to watch over the next few weeks to see if that's the case. We don't know. So looking at the mid caps on the week were pretty strong. They were up 4.41% as well. Beautiful move, again, above a rising 50. And look, it's cleared by a lot, all these moving averages. And let's just, for fun, look at this. 2.69, and in the green zone is the 200-day. So, it's been actually stronger in general than the other moving averages. You could kind of maybe see an inverse head and shoulders here. Let's just draw that in for now, just for fun. Again, doesn't mean it's going to hit. It has a lot of work to do before it does. And chances are it's going to kind of come back down, make a higher low, and then move out higher. You see I was kind of having that in there before, so, so expectation would be kind of, maybe this, and then that to finish it up, something like that, who knows. But either way, so this one is pretty strong, right? You're right here. And if you go back and you look at this and, it's been, if price can kind of come up in this area, you're going to quickly get a flattening 200-day moving average. So that's pretty cool. We'll see. So mid caps look really good. All right, let's look at sector ETFs and see how they fared. So we drew this in as potential inverse head and shoulder stuff going on in financials. Financials held where they had to hold. I mean, when you say had to hold, like this is 2007 financial crisis had to hold, right? This is 2018, 17, 18. This is 2020, right? This was such an important area, and boom, it held. That's really impressive. And so we'll see if it continues to hold. Right now, this is building up very nicely. And so we'll call that constructive, right? It's not doing anything wrong. There's your 200-day right there, right at the neckline. So again, a breakout there would be a very significant breakout for the financials. So it looks really good. Looking at semiconductors, right? Yeah, I drew this in, a while ago. It went down a little further than I thought, still made a higher low. And so this is still a possibility. Now, let's talk about semiconductors for a second here. I don't love that this has not retaken the 50-day, right? So everything else has retaken their 50-day. Semiconductors haven't. They're lagging. That doesn't invoke a ton of confidence in growth techie sectors if we're not seeing semiconductors lead on the way out. There's something to be said for this. All right. Future growth looks like it's going to be muted. Does it mean that we can't go higher? No, I don't think it means that. But it does mean that that the market isn't pricing in explosive growth in technology and technology sector for sure, and maybe the economy overall. So that's a negative, we'll say. XTN transports back to the 50-day, below the 23-day. Again, trying to build out an inverse head and shoulders like some of the other indexes. It's okay. Again, it's not invoking a ton of confidence in me, but it's okay. Financials look better, of course. And let's look at home builders. Been a lot. They've been in the news a lot recently. Home prices, and it is above the 23, and you do have a little bit better of a look here. Again, this general area looks to be important. So we'll see what happens. Again, you have a wacky looking type of bottoming pattern trying to happen there. There's your 200-day. It should probably over the next couple of weeks come into this green zone, and then we'll see if price can break out above it or not. Can expect major chop. Also, look how low the volume is here. Not that it's it's a $2.6 million, 2.6 volume shares of traded market. So it's liquid. That's what I'm trying to say. It's liquid. So that volume has a little bit more meaning versus an illiquid ETF. So it's okay, but it's not like people are rushing into the home builders right now. Again, we'll see what happens when it gets into the screen zone. That's all we can do, right? But right now, it's trying to carve out a bottom. There's your 200-day coming up here. We'll see what happens when price and 200-day meet if they do. So looking at the ETFs, kind of a mixed bag, right? We like financials, don't really like semiconductors. Transports are and home builders are So there we go. That's my judgment. We got a lot of in there. Let's get rid of these. All right, let's go to internals. VIX. VIX came in this week, right? That's nice to see. We're in this now. We're back below 27. That's the important area. It kind of stopped right there and came back in. That's a positive, right? Let's look at credit spreads. Credit spreads came back in this week. That's a positive, right? We have this kind of topping pattern, maybe something like that. But either way, it came in. That's the most important thing. Nice sharp move down. Question is, again, does this make a higher low and then we go higher, or does this make a lower low? We have a lower highs and lower lows in credit spreads, and we have a true downtrend. Again, we don't know that yet, but it's constructive, and that's what we'll leave it at that, right? Looking at breadth, not breadth, about sentiment. Came back in, still no man's land, so not much of a signal here. And again, in this choppy area, we haven't had a signal. MMFI, which is the percent stocks above the 50-day, it's back above 50% at 52. So breadth had a nice little pop. That's good to see. You'd expect that. So we'll see if that continues or not. But so far, so good, right? We can't complain about that. Let's look at Bitcoin. We'll just throw this back on here. Yeah, so Bitcoin had a nice day. I think it was on Friday, 10% move, which is great. But we'll see if this continues, right? Again, it's not like, one day does not make a trend. So hopefully, it does, because I think it's good for the markets. But Bitcoin is still underneath its 50-day, and 50 days starting to decline again. Your 200 days declining. So it's got to get first things first. It's got to get above 22,000, right, for me to feel like Bitcoin's kind of recovering, leading, and risk on, and all that kind of stuff. It's just not right now. So there's that. So let's put it all together, because I'm bloviating a little bit over here. Right now, a lot of mixed signals in the market, but there is some constructive stuff under the surface. So I think that this is definitely more towards the yellow light territory, meaning that we're going to, look for the best setups overall, keep positions maybe a little bit lighter, and only take, the cream of the crop type of setups, 50% invested roughly, and having reasonably good stops put in place. So we have a low risk. If we're wrong and this isn't the bottom, then we can get out, and it's only a little paper cut and we're not hurt. Okay, so that's my assessment. Yellow light territory, mixed signals. That's the big thing. It may take another 4 to 6 weeks of chop in this area in order for this market to potentially really carve out that bottom, and you can have this nice big rounding bottom, right? We need that symmetrical type move. Again, there's a trend line right there that we gotta get above in 200-day right there. All right, so there's that. Tomorrow we'll do stocks to watch. We'll try to pick out some of those best names, best of the breed, and that's that. All right, so y'all check me out on Twitter at AlphaCharts365 if you want any of the stuff I mentioned earlier. Hope you all have a great week. Take care.